So I'm with Mr. Conor Kelly today. What we want to do today is learn a bit about what life was like before the coaching commenced and how it's been in the journey, and then also like what's really in your eyes kind of been the big takeaways, growth points for you, and lessons that maybe you can share with someone like in your position 6 months ago
Yeah.
when you were considering coaching, on the fence a tad. And yeah, like, I know you sent that message to me to start the whole relationship off, but maybe someone that is watching these videos trying to understand if this is for them, basically. Start us off then, a bit of an intro to you and, maybe what health and fitness looked like before, also starting with us as well.
Yeah. I think when I was a kid and stuff like that, I would have been quite sporty.
Mm.
And then through kind of university and probably early adulthood, I probably enjoyed socializing a huge amount. So bad habits crept in terms of probably drinking too much, and then with that binging. And then we've spoken openly about how a trigger for me, like with emotions and stuff like that, is that I turn to food.
Yeah.
And then that is like a crutch for me.
Yeah, which is so common for like so many clients before they come in anyway.
Yeah.
And therefore, like a lot of what I post online, so probably a lot of people like watching this are like, oh God, that resonates, that hits.
Yeah. So then I think, like, it's obviously, my 34th year. It was like, how many more years am I going to keep doing the same thing over and
Mm.
over again and hope to get a different result? So I think I just moved back to Australia about a year and a half ago. We've been working together
Yeah, coming up to 6 months.
so
Yeah.
so probably like almost, so that'll be like a year into being back in Australia, probably again working in a very busy job, getting into bad habits, or the same patterns of going to the gym once every month, doing a run every now and again, but really consistently eating poorly, making poor choices.
Yeah.
And I think I just got to the stage of, yeah, I saw some of your videos, and I think they just resonated with me around what you were talking about kind of positivity, about not counting calories, around no food being good nor bad. Nothing is rubbish. No one eats rubbish. We don't eat out of the bin.
Yeah.
So that, like, everything can be had, everything can be had in moderation, and,
Yeah.
and there was just something that resonated when I was looking at your videos. I was like, it just seems it seems too easy.
Right. Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
it just seems like this is really doable.
Mm.
Yeah, so I think that's what drove me to reach out. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think like anything, when you first like start talking to somebody, I think I got like a positive vibe. I think you were talking a lot of sense. And
Mm.
for me, I think when something makes sense, it's easy for me to understand and go with it. And
Yeah.
just didn't seem too complicated. Everything
Yeah.
is not too complicated.
Yeah.
I think from like working together, like for me, and we've spoken about this, that it's like really simple daily habits
Mm.
that are just practiced over and over again in the past 6 months, that just become like an everyday thing. They're kind of a non-negotiable everyday thing.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like when I was saying, when I went back to Ireland just recently for a holiday, and it's like, I was actively annoyed on days when it was raining. And
Mm.
I was like really struggling to like get out for my
Yeah.
walks, and not in an obsessive way. It was just like, this is just something I want to do. It's something that's good for my head. It's something
Yeah.
that's good for my
Yeah.
mental health,
Yeah.
and it was like really annoying me when I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
And that for me is like huge. Like, that's a massive
Mm.
change, and it's just very simple.
Yeah. 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 And there's so many things you mentioned there which we can kind of dissect. There's obviously the aspect of like the small little habits building so much momentum that they are habitual to the point where you're craving to do them almost. But also what you mentioned there was, it wasn't trying to do these habits as a form of like trying to hit the arbitrary step goal or trying to hit a certain kg on the scale, for example. It was just in enjoyment of actually doing the thing and knowing how that thing will impact your head and your body and your mindset and how it feels.
Yeah.
And then weight loss in your particular case is only byproduct of that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like everything else. It's kind of like, how busy I am in life, with everything I'm doing, with work, with study, with, obviously trying to, maintain a marriage, trying to just live life and be the best person I can be. And then, like, these daily things support me to be able to maintain and be positive and continue to do those things.
Yeah.
And I think like it's been a difficult time coming back to Australia, even though it's where we want it to be. It's been, it has been difficult, it's been busy, but this process actually probably really supported my, my saying my sanity,
Yeah.
haven't ended up in, psych ward or anything yet. So,
Yeah.
I think that's been a consequence of
Yeah.
our 6 months together.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been really supportive.
A lot of people use, and I think excuse is like a tough but like fair word
Yeah.
of, hey, busy, no time. And it's like such a clutch that people use. I'm not saying that you use that, you obviously you're here today, but you have been and will continue to be a very busy individual. And I wonder how it has felt, I guess, balancing it and fitting in time. Like, has it felt like it's been a chore and a part-time job in a sense, or has it actually felt like, hey, this is just an adjustment and actually it doesn't actually take more time, it's just a difference in lifestyle?
I think for me, the difference in, working with you versus maybe things I've done in the past is that it felt like it was gradual. I think, it went from the first couple of weeks of really concentrating on, PBEs and how we eat and looking
Yeah,
at that
yeah,
to
yeah.
then adding in, okay, we're going to aim for like how many steps have you been kind of averaging? Okay. And we're starting with that.
Yes.
And it wasn't kind of always like, okay, well, we're hitting 15,000 today and,
Yeah, yeah.
and you have to do this and you have to do that. It was all gradual. So it kind of felt like it built on
Yeah,
itself.
yeah.
So it never felt like it was too much like of a real big task.
Yeah.
I think that really helped. It wasn't all gung ho day one. You need to hit 10 different things. It was just at my pace. You went with
Yeah.
me, and then over time, and of course, some weeks were fucking hell. Some weeks, I did really well. Some weeks I didn't, and
Yeah.
that's life as well. And
Yeah.
and I think that support has really helped me to stay on track to a certain degree. Like we know in the last 6 months I've gone on holidays multiple times. I've fallen off the bandwagon. I've been back on it. I've had some really good weeks, but each time I get the same response from the coaches. I get I get support. I get empathy. I get continuous reminders, which is really helpful. Especially for me, I'm not somebody that easily reaches out for. Initially, I reached out for support,
Yeah, yeah.
but then like once I'm in there, I'm kind of like, okay, this is what I'm meant to be doing. I don't want to look stupid, so I should know what I'm doing. So I'm not gonna like continue to bombard you with text messages, but I used to always get messages to check in on me, to see how I'm going, do I have any questions. He'd ask me questions on what I'm doing, and that would probably get deeper conversations about things that we were doing that week, and that was really supportive for me. Yeah, because I wouldn't have reached out the other way.
Yeah.
So had you not been doing that, there could have been probably a month of no contact.
Yeah.
So that was really supportive for me,
Good.
and especially when I was so busy as well.
Yeah. Good. And I wanted to, like we, we're just in the gym and we mentioned, prior PTs and stuff, and we can talk about, the online coaching versus the PT route and, myself and Sarah's role. But what you just said there about the sustainability and the gradual increase is probably something to focus on, because that truly is like the purpose and the game plan for all clients is like most like you are coming from, not like a bad point in your eyes, you were consistently running, maybe in the gym, but maybe not in the gym at times. And like what we want to do is like gradually build it up. So it's not just like, here's your plan for the next 6 months, now maintain it. It's like, no, this actually changes every so often, every month generally.
Yeah.
We're focusing on just improving a little aspect. So I link that a lot to willpower and binging as well, because I see willpower and binging as being like just this thing which is like, right, I'm on this new health kick, I'm gonna X amount of calories, I'm gonna hit the gym X amount of times, hit X amount of calories burn, and then it's all so unrealistic that it's like the candle burns and it finishes and it burns out, and that's your willpower being like, okay, I can't keep this anymore. So how has that been, in terms of you working with other people in the past, you also like trying it on your own in the past and almost like setting yourself up to failure, versus this where we've kind of like reverse engineered it, and yes, maybe like it's taken a bit slower to get to that point, but we've actually hit it and we've sustained it and maintained that pace as well.
Yeah, I think if you go back to like my very first weeks, and you're looking at like, I don't know, did I even get to the gym?
No, yeah,
Once
no,
once
yeah,
in the week when I
yeah,
was meant to probably be getting to the gym, once a week. I probably wasn't making it. And now probably consistently I'm getting there, at least 3 times, maybe
yeah,
4 times a
yeah,
week.
yeah,
Plus, maybe going for a run,
yeah,
getting, average 10,000 steps a day done
mm,
whilst working really long hours and studying.
yeah,
Like, I think if I can manage that, in that amount of time, I think
yeah,
anyone
yeah,
can. I think, I was telling you that, yeah, obviously I've had, disordered eating, let's call a spade. And I have gone to PTs, I've gone to dietitians, I've done a ream of things, when I was back in Ireland. And I always ended up at square one again.
mm,
It was always like a quick fix,
yeah,
but was never able to sustain it, even as long as probably what I've done now. And as you say, it's like the weight is kind of a byproduct.
yeah,
And that, that's probably been really good for me as well, to try and move away from just looking at numbers,
mm-hmm,
to go with kind of how I feel, like where my
yeah,
confidence is at, how my
yeah,
body is moving, what it
yes,
can do,
yeah,
sitting like, gratitude and sitting, like just wanting to be healthy,
yeah.
like obviously I'm not terribly old, but like, want to keep being
Yeah,
healthy as we age, whatever
yeah.
age we are.
And
Yeah.
it shows so much because people probably watching this won't know this, but you were at the first ever topless run last week, and like the whole vibe and whole rule of that is like you can only come if you don't have your shirt on.
Yeah,
So how did that actually feel? And do you feel like that's something you could have done 6 months ago?
absolutely not. Nah,
Mm.
nah. I think when we had our first phone call, when we were like literally just, initial
Yeah,
getting to know each other or whatever, I'd say I probably told you that I'd never go to, I'd struggle to be on a beach.
yeah, yeah,
I'd struggle to lie on a beach without a top on.
mm.
So the idea of then running, around like one of the most popular parks in Melbourne, at 7 a.m. on a morning where there's loads of people walking and
Yeah,
running and driving to work,
yeah,
on Olympic
yeah,
Boulevard, like that's
yeah,
petrifying.
yeah,
But like I fucking did it,
mm.
which is
Exactly.
so yeah. Again, if I can do that,
Yeah,
like
the growth is
anyone can do
crazy.
that.
Yeah,
I think younger me would be very, very proud
yeah,
of that.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
definitely, definitely.
So 6 months in, if I can do that, like let's see what happens in the next the next 6 months.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly,
yeah,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly. And that's it. I'm like, I think that's the nail in the head. That's the whole point of the coaching is like, yes, we may have this like arbitrary, maybe the wrong word, but like a goal of I want to lose X amount or I want to look a certain way, but it's like, hey, let's just focus on like how we feel.
Yeah,
And again, as a result of achieving that how we feel aspect, the look, the way is only going to be a byproduct result of
yeah,
that.
yeah. And that has definitely been the case. I think,
Mm.
like, um, obviously as somebody who's always been like a little bit bigger, you're always wanting to, I've always wanted to be smaller and
Mm.
and be skinnier
Mm.
or be whatever. But it's like this process has been not only supportive of losing weight, but it's almost been like it's been therapeutic.
Yeah.
Like it's been therapeutic for my thought processes around how I
Yeah.
think about weight, how I
Yeah.
think about my body, how I think about food. And I think like, the idea is like not to cut all food out,
Mm.
but also not wanting the foods that I probably really wanted
Yeah.
6 months ago.
Why do you think that is?
Just having more fruits and veg in my
Yeah.
diet, you feeling more satiated,
Yeah.
just not needing the sugar binges,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
not having cravings. I think that's fucking, it's so bizarre to me now
Yeah.
to not be having cravings, not
Yeah.
to be, dying for McDonald's, not to be,
Yeah. And instead dying for a punnet of strawberries maybe
you
or a
know,
kiwi or some of that.
yeah.
And, answer to that is because, we've built up this process now of like, okay, decision and reaction to that, whereby your body now feels a certain way on fruits and veggies. We're not just eating fruits and veggies here, by the way, but we're eating real food.
Yeah.
That it no longer says like, oh, hey, I'm really craving the McDonald's or the sweets, for example, because I know how that made me feel in comparison to how fruits, veggies, quality meats, quality carbs are making me feel. And it's just that awareness,
100%.
that like shift.
100%. And I think on the flip side of that, if I was to have a McDonald's, I'm also not beating myself up about it.
Yeah.
It's kind
Yes.
of like,
The
you
guilt
know,
around it. Yeah.
it's happened.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I've made that choice.
Yeah,
I'm
and
gonna
that's
enjoy
the
that.
flexibility aspect, because again, what we don't want in this, I said it to you, I said to every single person I jump on a call with, we want to live the next 6, 12, 18 months, however long you're here with us, how we plan to live the next 60 years.
Yeah.
And it's like, if it ever feels like you're restricting, if that, food freedom, food flexibility aspect that we promote so widely isn't being hit, it's like, well, okay, it's only a matter of time until, again, willpower is so finite, candle's gonna burn out and you're just gonna have a binge.
Yeah, yeah, and that's fully what used to happen to me. Because it'd be like so restrictive. I remember following like a diet before that was like, I was bringing around the portable weighing scales, and I was like weighing out every gram of rice that I was eating. But like great, I was miserable for a month. Lost a bang of weight, and then doubled it in the next 2 months.
Put it all back.
And doubled it.
Yeah.
Put it back on and plus more.
Yeah. And this is the thing, because it's very hard to like explain this, and this is why again we're doing this type of content now. But previously it was like trying to explain that whole vision and reverse engineering this whole process of like, hey, let's be like the tortoise, not the hare in that story. Explaining that in a single hour-long call. But what's a big kind of like reason as to maybe why someone won't start is because this isn't an 8-week Kickstarter. Because it's not a 4-week lose as much as possible and then put it all back on. It's 6 months bare minimum, where it's a big investment too. It's a lot of commitment from our side, hence the value and therefore the investment size relative to the value. And I'm just curious on, as maybe a last question, your thoughts on that, and what you feel like you've got relative to the value, the investment, all things considered, my support, Sarah's support, the approach that we've actually had, and maybe someone really thinking about that and being like, oh god, wait, it sounds like a lot. I thought I'm just trying to lose a bit of weight here. Why does it have to be 6 months? Why can't we do this sooner? Why is it X amount of money? Why can't it be more?
And I think at the at the initial stages of anything that you look into, it does seem a lot, doesn't it? But what I would say now is it has been the best investment that I've made in myself. I think that I have done in a long while. I think like if we we probably should have done some sort of monitoring of like my happiness scale 6 months ago versus versus now. I think like I think I'm a different person, in many senses. I think there's probably more of me that can come through. There's more of me that can shine. And I think, anyone who's like on the fence about doing this with the support that I have received from you, from Sarah, from the community at large, I don't know, it's invaluable. It has been invaluable. Yeah. And I just think just do it. Yeah. I think you're not going to regret it. I think short term you might think like that's that's a lot of money, blah, blah, blah. You're not going to. Money comes and goes. Your health is forever. Your happiness is more important.
I think it's a really nice way to end it, dude. It's a really nice message to say as well, so thank you. I really appreciate that. Bloody flies, right?
I know, right? Fucking Australia.
We'll finish up here, but thanks again for doing that, man. That was awesome.